Hi everybody, it's Caroline here. Welcome to my channel, and today I am working with a sketch from Traci Reed and also working with her brand new printable collection called EQUINOX. I will put this sketch in front of the camera when I put things onto fast forward so you can see what it is going to be like. I've already done a little bit of prep work in Canva. I'm not keen on the layering that I've used so far, so I am going to tweak that around. I think I've created this piece here. I'm a little bit disappointed that I went with a font that was quite as big as it is, but I'm going to go with it because I don't want to, I haven't got that much ink left in my printer, so I don't want to hold things up. So I'm going to be working with a 12 by 12 canvas and that sketch, which is a sunburst design, and two 3x4 photos. And I will put things onto fast forward and voiceover, get the sketch for you to have a look at, and get things put together. Okay, so here is the sketch. We have the half circle at the bottom and then those sunburst rays coming out, two 3x4 photos, some strips of journaling and 3 embellishment areas. So I have decided to extend that journaling, as I said, into to fill the whole of the half circle. Previous off camera I did lots and lots of gold ink splatters on this brown cardstock. I let that dry overnight because some of them are really quite thick, and that's just going to add extra dimension, extra interest. And then I have spent quite a lot of time off camera with my Tim Holtz distresser, and I have distressed all of the edges. So the edge of that half circle, all of these rays, I'm bending the edges as well so that they really are going to look distressed and textured, and my intention is to adhere them down very lightly and then go over to my sewing machine, which I'll do in a moment, and do some messy stitching on all of them. But first of all, I've decided to come in with Distress Ink in Wild Honey, which is a gorgeous kind of burnt orange, which I think I'm going to be using a lot with this collection and probably in my October daily. I really love it. It even looks great on the green. It just looks brilliant. Really pleased to have found this one in my stash and for it to be quite as juicy as it is, because I obviously haven't used it very much. So just inking all of the edges. I am going to stitch around the inside of the half circle, which I've done here, because I can't distress those edges, because I created this in Photoshop. It would have looked much better in one way if I could have torn and ripped those edges, but because I couldn't do that because I had already created this in Photoshop, I've added in that extra interest with the stitching instead, and a few little hits, as you saw me do, with that distress ink in those areas as well. And it looks good. I'm really pleased. I think I was unhappy with it until I'd added in that messy stitching, but once I'd done that, I was really pleased with how it looked. So what I'm doing here is a little tiny touch of adhesive on the back of these sun rays. I need to cut a couple of these to just give me enough pieces to go around the half circle, and then I'm just going to check my placement. I will be trimming the edges off later. Adhere them down, trim them off, and then I will take them over to my sewing machine and get everything stitched down, which is going to take quite a while. So I'm just tucking things in, and there's only a tiny little bit of adhesive on the back of that half circle because I want to get everything placed right, but I don't want that added bulk in my sewing machine. So I'm just going to check everything, pull up the half circle, and take just the cardstock and the rays over to the sewing machine to stitch them down. So when I was over there, I decided, rather than just doing one line of stitching in the centre of each ray, which I'd originally planned, I've actually done a rectangle around each one, and then I'm just going back in now and really turning those edges up so you can see where it's all distressed. You can see the core of the paper and the white underneath. I'll go back in a moment with more of that Wild Honey distress ink and just kind of rub that on so that you get that lovely warm colour as well. I've trimmed off the edges of the rays so that the rays are spreading out and interacting with those edges for extra interest. And with this dimension that's coming in with these little turns that I'm doing on the paper. It means a little bit later on when I start adhering things down, when I use embellishments and also the photos, there's some real interest with height. So some of the photos I'm going to adhere down with my normal adhesive, and some areas of the photo I'm actually going to put pop dots so that it helps them to stand up and stay stable. But it's really good because you just see that little bit of shadow. If you can just see around the edge there, you've got that little bit of shadow and extra height. Even with just normal adhesive, because underneath there are some tears, just kind of lifting things up a little bit. So I'm just adding my photos in the same placement as they are on the sketch now. Because of how I orientated my text on the circle, I've actually got a little kind of step area on the left hand side there, which works really nicely for me to just overlap the photos and stagger them, just turn them on a little angle, and it's almost as if it was meant to be. I didn't actually create this in Photoshop with the photos as well, I just did the circle, so it works really well to get these in that area. And you'll see that I'm using that foam tape, as I said, to give some dimension to the photos and to lift them up because of all of those tears underneath. So just securing them down nicely, and then I will be bringing in the die cuts or the sticker pack from this collection in a moment, and pulling out lots of those. So my intention originally was just to go quite low-key with the embellishments, but I absolutely love this collection. I love all the florals and the leaves, so I end up bringing in quite a lot of those. I'm sticking with this colour scheme, so I'm going to stick with the saturated oranges and the yellows in florals and leaves, and I'm also going to bring in some of the berries, which I really love, and some of the bumblebees, because they are just too cute not to. So really pleased with how that white edge to the die cuts is really helping things to pop a little bit, because it was quite dull. I've got that white edge to my photos, that white border, and the white border to the die cuts is really lifting things. So really happy, considering I was unsure with this sketch when I started. I'm really happy with the way it's coming together. My title is there on the right hand side now in the same placement as on the sketch. I've used two different stickers for that, the gold glittery for the main part of the sticker, and then just some really flat brown cardstock ones. Nice to have that opportunity to just pull in a really large title, which I like to do every now and then, just to add in a few extra words. You'll notice the eagle-eyed of you that I have had to switch in some upside down threes for my letter E, which is a good tip if you're running out of vowels. Depending on the style of the alpha, the 3 is great as an E. You can tell if you look really hard that it's a 3, but I don't care. It means that I can spell out the words that I wanted to spell. So I'm just going around and adding adhesive to the back of all of these die cuts now that I'm happy with the placement of them, so that they are all nicely secure, some with just adhesive and some on pop dots for that extra dimension. And here we have the finished layout. I've added in a triangle of puffy dots in those 3 embellishment areas, and I have also inked the edges with that distress ink, which just gives it a little bit of additional distressing around the edge, and I absolutely love it. I really love this layout. So that's a win when I thought I wasn't going to love it at the start. So really pleased with how this one has turned out. Thank you so much for watching. If you don't already, please subscribe, and if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you again soon. Bye.